Nottingham Forest are closing in on their first signing of the transfer window. But is it really that close? Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are. Whatever time of day you're watching this, hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. Coming up in today's video, we'll be talking about the Brazilian wonder kid, and is he really as close as everyone's making him out to be? We got the latest on will.i.am and Dean Henderson now that Onana has moved to Manchester United. Is this edging ever closer? And plenty of other stories. Before we get into it, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new here. And don't forget to go pick up your signed boot from Adidas from Football Prizes with all the Forest footballers' signatures on it. The link is in the description below. Let's jump into this. So Nascimento from Botafogo. Well, let's try and uncomplicate this story for you. There was rumours that Forest had put a bid in for about £8 million on about, 5 or so days ago. And this really was rumours. Now, the stories that have come out is that, if was true, was rejected by the club. And Forest have come in with a new bid of 10 million plus a 20% sell-on fee on top of that. This is now starting to get some legs, and people are saying that this is the deal that has been proposed. However, Nascimento has not yet accepted the proposal from Nottingham Forest, even though it seems that the club have agreed to that fee. And this to me just sounds weird in itself. Why? Because normally in this day and age, when a club is approached with the fee, the personal terms have already been agreed with the player. And then usually it becomes a back and forth between the two clubs negotiating over the fee. So it does seem like this is going back to the old school ways if it is true. But there is plenty of reports and plenty of sourcing on this one to suggest that this one does have legs. And in fact, people are saying it is very close to being complete. Do I believe it? I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer on this one. I've had no sources that I fully trust that have said this is definitely about to go to deal done or a here we go or anything like that. But there is no smoke without fire, as we always say on here. And he is definitely a target for Nottingham Forest. And probably, apart from Hendo, the furthest deal down the line with our hierarchy in terms of what we're going to get done. Will I take him? 100%. This guy looks like he could be a bit of a wonder kid. We spoke to you before about him, how he loves a good skill move on the ball, how he links in the wing players, how he's ready to move across from Brazil into the European leagues and really try and establish himself. And Forest would be the perfect club for him to do that. However, he doesn't play as an out-and-out 9, and that's the thing. He almost needs to play somewhere in between, say, Taiwo and MG Dub for him to really do what he needs to do and flourish. So how does he fit in to the Forest team? Well, if it gets to the stage where we do sign him, and hopefully we do, then obviously we will break all that down for you in a tactics video and let you guys understand exactly how that works. But at the moment, the other complication that comes with him is the fact that the structure of the deal doesn't necessarily mean that the money will go to Botafogo, because there are talks that some of his fee would go to his parents, his uncle, his long-lost cousin, and all this thing. The structure of almost not his ownership, but that's probably the easiest word to describe it, is a little bit weird. So the Brazilian club won't get that full 10 million if that's what the agreed fee is. And this may add further complications into getting the deal done, as all parties would have to agree on what they're being paid out. But at the moment, main story on this is that a lot of people are saying it's deal close. I'm skeptical on it. I need to hear from one of our usual guys to kind of feel that it is going to happen. But hey, let's go with it and let's build up some hype around him, because I do want him at Nottingham Forest and I think he could be fantastic. And he's Brazilian and he would be able to slot in with the likes of Scarpa, Danilo, Felipe, etc. We need to re-up that Brazilian quota. We've lost one of our Brazilian boys in Lodi, so we definitely need at least one more. But what do you guys think of him? Let me know in the comments down below. And do you think he will end up at Nottingham Forest? On to the next story, and this is will.i.am, and Romano has tweeted that an agreement has occurred now between himself and and Fulham. As we mentioned to you a few days ago, all this talk about him having a medical at Nottingham Forest were complete and utter fake news. And as we said here, that his most likely destination would be Fulham. The only thing that was making him contemplate Nottingham Forest was the length of the contract being offered. But we told you there was no such thing as a medical at Forest, and now what we've said has come out to be proven to be correct. However, what I will say is the tweets that the lady from the BBC has received are really unjustified. You can't always be right on these transfer windows. Look, maybe she was claiming to be in the know and what have you. But to then see some of the tweets I've seen pointed her way is a bit over the top. I'm sure she saw will.i.am at Nottingham Forest. As we mentioned to you, there was this little courtship between the two. But she obviously put 2 and 2 together and ended up getting 500. And that is the thing. It's like sometimes people shouldn't just jump to be first to the story when it comes to all these journalists. And over here, we don't claim to be journalists at all. But this one for us was really well sourced, and we knew that he wasn't coming to Nottingham Forest. So as things stand, will.i.am will be staying at Fulham, or should I say re-signing at Fulham, because technically he is a free agent right now. And the links to Forest are all but over from that one. And that's brought on the trigger of what's going to happen with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Seeing that Fulham have now secured will.i.am, will they still be going for Callum Hudson-Odoi or not? There's Forest, Fulham and Crystal Palace who are in the running for him. And I still think that he ends up at either a Palace or a Fulham, to be honest. I don't feel that Forest favourites. That's just my own personal opinion on it, but that's how I see it going. In terms of the whole thing with Callum Hudson-Odoi about Chelsea cancelling the loan fee and his contract, etc., that seems to have slowed down, and there's not too much talks about that happening anymore, as they have actually officially rejected some bids for him. So with that in mind, logic would dictate that Chelsea are still after a fee if they can grab one for him. But just to confirm back on will.i.am, he is pretty much set for Fulham, and the link to Nottingham Forest is dead. And as always, we told you so. Okay, so next on the agenda, and a position that is worrying a lot of you guys, is the goalkeeping situation. And it may be some good news for Nottingham Forest, as Onana has been a here we go by Romano on him going to Manchester United. Now, why is that so important? Well, as we've said many times on this video, it's the whole domino effect on this goalkeeping situation. Manchester United were not prepared to let Dean Henderson leave until they secured the new goalkeeper, who being Onana in this case. Now that he is gone, everyone's suddenly gone crazy and expects Dean Henderson to arrive at the City ground basically sometime in the next 5 minutes. And obviously that's still not the case. However, what I will say on this one is I do feel Dean Henderson will come in. And for Forest to have waited this long, and our goalkeeper situation being as perilous as Manchester United's, it can only mean one or two things for me. One, that they've already agreed the fee with Manchester United, and that they're under the understanding that once Onana goes through, he comes in. Or secondly, Manchester United have said to Nottingham Forest, look, this is our fee for him, let's just say it's 20 mil. If you can wait until X days because we need to get Onana through, we'll negotiate you a slightly lower fee. Something like that may have happened. Again, it's just me speculating. But I do expect this deal to be done, and I don't expect it to be anywhere near the £30 million. We've had ranges on this price going from 15 million all the way up to 30 million. And I still think 20 million is a comfortable deal for Dean Henderson. Now, will that be made up of 15 million up front with 5 mil on add-ons? If that is the case, that for me is a really, really good deal. And Forest have done very well with that signing, especially with him being English and what you would call, young, so to speak, in goalkeeping terms, as he's in his mid-20s. It'd be a great deal. But if this deal gets anywhere near that £30 million mark, for me, Forest should have walked away and gone for a cheaper keeper. We've just seen the likes of Livakovic sign for 9 million, man. That is an absolute bargain basement price. And he's gone to the Turkish league. Forest could have easily secured his skills in goal. But at the moment, Dean Henderson, I think, is going to be very close. I think everything, well, you would like to assume that everything has been already sorted out with Manchester United while they were negotiating Onana. The problem with Manchester United, though, is they can only ever seem to be able to work on one deal at a time. So you do feel like their full focus was getting Onana through, and they've kind of put their hand with the old stop sign towards Nottingham Forest, come back to us once that's done. But that's Manchester United. And I would like to hope that Forest pushed some weight behind it and said, let's get this deal done. If we are going to agree to wait until you lot sort your crap out, then at least let's have us ready to go as soon as that's done. So we'll see over the next few days if Dean Henderson signs for Forest. And again, the talks are that the fee would be around 20 million. And he would need to get on that plane out to Spain ASAP. But as far as I know, he's still not fully fit anyway. And does that pose an extra risk? Because we need a fit goalkeeper. Yes, I'm sure he'll be fit in time for the start of the Premier League, but it'd be good to see him get at least a partial pre-season under his belt. How are you guys feeling about Dean Henderson? Do you still want him between the sticks at the City ground next season? Or would you rather go for a cheaper alternative? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on and talk about another position of importance for Nottingham Forest, and that's the left-back position. And there is a new name on the table currently in Lucas Digne from Aston Villa. Yes, Aston Villa, the club that we seem to be talking about every day lately on this channel. The talk is that the 29-year-old is very keen on a move away and would like to get more regular first-team football and at a high level, aka the Premier League. So would be interested in a move to Nottingham Forest. In terms of what the fee would be, well, we don't actually know, but I don't think it would be any more than in and around that 10 to 15 million pound mark. Now, is he the perfect player for Nottingham Forest at left back? I do rate him, but I did rate him 2 or 3 years ago. And especially with the season he had last year at Villa in terms of injuries, his time at Everton, there were a few injuries there. That does, as you guys always know, worry me when there's a player who has an injury track record and gets linked to our medical team. But the other side to this story is the rumours that are flying around on a partial swap deal with him and Brennan Johnson. And there are talks that potentially Forest could let Brennan Johnson go one way with plus cash and get Digne the other way. So you'd be talking about a deal, let's just say that they agreed 45 to 50 million for Jono, knock off 10 to 15 million and get Digne in return as well. Now, there's not much sourcing on that, but that could make somewhat sense if Forest were looking to balance the books, or if Jono wanted to leave, or whatever rumour you want to believe currently about the Jono situation. Do you guys think it would be worthwhile to do a Jono deal as a swap deal? And would you take Luca Digne coming back the other way? I think Omar Richards is good enough to play left back at the Premier League level, and he will get a run out in the Spanish tour, those whole 2 games. Don't know how you can call that a tour, but anyway. But there has been very good kind of talks coming out of the club that he will play a part in some of this Spanish tour campaign. He has had to recover from his missing leg. He's had that back. He's had some muscle injuries. And then on top of that, had all kinds of little other niggles that went through. But apparently he is now fit, able and ready to start playing first team football. So I don't know how much I'd prioritize the left back situation. I know a lot of you guys think it is a critical position right now, but I still say, look, we got Omar Richards, we got Tuffalo as backup until his whole ordeal gets sorted out. And in an emergency, you can also play Nico Williams at left back. Now, would I say any of these are world beaters or Lodi standard? Absolutely not. So I do understand why the club would be interested in Luca Digne, but I'm not sure he's the right one for me. I would personally like a more mid-20s player. I still like Augusto from Monza. I think he would work well. But I'll be honest with you guys. No one replaces Lodi for me. He was sensational last season. And the fact that he went for 11 million, it still hurts, and we're 4 or 5 days on from it. I still can't get over it. Never fall in love with a lone player. That's always the saying. And I'm guilty as charged. What do you guys think? Okay, so a lot of you are still asking me about Sanghera and where are we with that. Honestly, there's been no further movement still, so I can't give you any updates. I wish I could tell you he was in Nottingham doing a medical, but I don't work for the BBC. The other news that's coming about is the likes of Dennis have been left behind from the Spanish training camp, from the Spanish tour, sorry. So it does look quite likely that he's on the move, and Leeds seem to be the front runners on him. But overall, I'm just at the stage now where I want some goddamn signings through the door. We are the 17th of July today, and still only Chris Wood to our name. It needs to happen. I remind you, the club said they wanted to get their business done early this window to make sure players got a full pre-season under their belt. What defines early in the club's expectations? Because for me, 17th of July, with that plane full and gone out, is not early. By the way, one thing to clear up as well, I mentioned to you guys on Grumpy Old Reds last night that someone sent me a picture of what looked like Shelvey getting on the plane. Had a good look at it, got the microscope out, and it's most definitely not Shelvey on that plane. In fact, it looked to me like it was Horvath going on behind Ryan Yates. So, breathe again, Shelvey's not on that plane. As we mentioned to you yesterday, Shelvey will either be moved from Nottingham Forest, or at the very least, I can't see him being part of the 25-man squad in this coming season. All right, guys, that brings you up to date with your Nottingham Forest news. Plenty of stuff for you guys to get your comments in down below. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. Make sure to get your tickets for the FFTV podcast and barbecue. It's the 6th of August. Doors will open from 3 p.m. at the Trent Nav. Can't wait, and we can't wait to meet all of you guys then. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.